Hello and welcome everyone to our virtual public board meeting for November 4th, 2021. This will be our last public board meeting of the month for the year for the general monthly board meeting. We will not be having this meeting in December. So make note, we all get December off. Quick reminder, as if we don't live all of our lives on Zoom at this point. Meetings are held via Zoom. We use a slideshow. You can subscribe to our newsletter, and I'll put those links in the chat as soon as somebody switches into speaking here in a little while. A quick look at our agenda. It's very general tonight. We've got community announcements. There's going to be a discussion of the area near the Springwater Corridor Trail and Southeast Harney. Discussion about some stuff happening at Southeast Uplift, our treasurer's report, and then all the other reports and things like that. I do recommend staying for that second half if you are interested in land use. Stephanie's report is not to miss. We'll get through introductions, your name and pronouns, if it's your first meeting, how long you've been in the neighborhood, how you heard about BDNA, and anything else you want to share. Keep it short. If you have a community announcement or something to bring up that needs a little bit more time for discussion, let us know and we'll tuck it in the segment. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. All right. Clearly it's been a long week. I am Chelsea Powers. I am the current chair of the Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association. I use she, her pronouns. It's not my first meeting. We've been in the neighborhood a little over 5 years. Originally heard about BDNA through a National Night Out event. And you'll hear plenty from me tonight, so we don't need to give anything else at this moment. I'll just read down the roles and you can be silent or say pass if you don't want to introduce yourself. Stephanie, you're next.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Frederick. I'm chair of the Land Use Committee. This is not my first meeting. This is my 5th year of meetings, I would say. I've lived here for 4.5 years. I knew of the neighborhood association system before moving here, and I immediately went to a BDNA meeting as soon as I moved in. And I've been with BDNA ever since.
And we are lucky to have Stephanie. Y'all don't know how much you benefit from her. The Transportation Growth Management Grant, a lot of our speed reduction and safety things, all major things that Stephanie worked on. So definitely give her a shout out. She does a lot in the background. Gail, I know you can't introduce yourself verbally, so I'll give you the heads up. Gail is our longest standing BDNA board member. She is amazing. And if you love movies in the park, she is the mastermind behind that program when we can have it back. So hit her up if you love park things, or if you just want to meet one of the friendliest neighbors in the neighborhood. Mary, you're next.
Hi, Mary Davis, she, her, not my first meeting. I've lived in the neighborhood since 1994, and I heard about the BDNA at through the mail about a big, huge meeting, and I went and became involved from there. I enjoy serving as your informal liaison to the Leach Botanical Garden to keep you informed about all the fun things going on there. And as far as anything else, I've served on the board twice for several years.
Were you president at one time, Mary?
I was president in 96, 97.
Oh, okay, good. It's good to know.
The was being
Can't hear you.
Oh, your audio's cutting out there, Mary. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. I know this weather's not friendly to a lot of our signals. So Kimberly, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kim. I use she, her pronouns. This is maybe my probably 7th meeting, so first year in the neighborhood association. I've lived in the neighborhood since 2015. We own our house, Duke and 63rd area. And I researched and looked up the neighborhood association online, Facebook, and then joined. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And Kim is also our Southeast Uplift rep there. and we'll be hearing about that later, hopefully. I'm really hoping you have a grip on what's going on because the email was crazy. Let's see who's next on my list. Trang, you're next.
Hi, my name is Chang Ho. I use she, her pronoun. This is my first meeting. Really excited to be here. I just recently moved to the Lance neighborhood. So I'm on 83rd and Bybee. But I'm just looking to be more involved in the community. My friend and I are working on an online community for locals to sell and buy fresh goods directly from one another. And yeah, and I think we'd love to see kind of the work and the effort that the community is focused on, and see what we can do to contribute. So thank you.
Excellent. Welcome. We're happy to have you. You're close enough to be honorary Brentwood-Darlington. And we have quite a thriving urban farm and small backyard farm community here. So you landed in the right spot.
I actually almost moved into the neighborhoods. I have a fund like place in my heart for the neighborhood, and I actually know Black Futures Farm with Malcolm and Maribel. So hey guys.
That's awesome. They're actually who gets to introduce next. Malcolm, Mirabai, you want to join us? Hello.
Me unmute us. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We're Malcolm and Mirabai. We're hi. Who was that? I'm sorry, I was looking at my phone. Was that Fam?
Trang.
Trang. Oh, hi, Trang.
Malcolm, good to see you guys.
Good to see you. How are you?
Really good. I'd love to chat more later on with you guys.
Yep, Trang and Trang.
Good to see you.
Trang has a great software platform. What was I saying? Yeah, we're Malcolm and Mirabai. We don't live in the neighborhood. We live in the Brooklyn neighborhood, but our farm is there at the LGL complex. Until yesterday, I worked at Impact Northwest, which has its one of our facilities, or one of their facilities, in the Brentwood-Darlington Community Center. Blah 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 blah, yada yada yada. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My brain is dying.
Happy last meeting.
Happy last meeting.
So did you say that you are no longer working with Impact?
Yes, I'm no longer an employee of Impact Northwest.
Oh, okay.
As of yesterday, I'm working full-time for Black Food Sovereignty Coalition, which is the parent organization of Black Futures Farm.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. Okay.
Congratulations. That's excellent. They are lucky to have you. Laura Lee, you're next on my list.
Hi, I'm Laura Lee Cole, she, her pronouns. I just watched a Seinfeld episode yesterday with the yada, yada, yada. So I have to laugh at Malcolm's yada, yada comment. I've lived in the neighborhood 9 years. I own my house down here near Clatsop. It's not my first meeting. I'm on the board as secretary. And I heard about BDNA by walking by the community center.
Welcome, Laura Lee. We are happy to have you, and thank you for being the secretary. It is a thankless job, so definitely give Laura Lee a virtual high five because we appreciate her so much. Linda, you're next on my list.
Good day. My name is Linda Goldster. I am the director of the Multnomah County Master Gardener Demonstration Garden in the LGL complex. And I've been working in those gardens since 2016. Been coming to the board meetings probably 10 or 12 times now. That's it for right now.
Excellent. Thank you, Linda. We'll hear from you a little bit later. Lynn, you're next.
Oops. There we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Lynn Reck. She, her pronouns. Not my first meeting. I've been treasurer on the board for since 2018. We've been in the neighborhood since 1993, so 28 years. We first heard about the BDNA from a Facebook post.
And Lynn is our amazing treasurer. Sadly, she will not be re-upping at the end of this term. So if treasurer is your jam, let us know, and Lynn can train you ahead of time, so it's an easy transition. So shout out to Lynn. We super appreciate you for all of the work you've done. It's been amazing. And if you are inspired to take over Lynn's job, let us know.
Thank you.
Last one, we have our call-in person on the phone. Do you want to introduce yourself? All right, we're going to move on to community announcements. First, I'm going to be saying this all night. There will be no meetings in December. I will not be firing up Zoom. The links will be there, but the meetings will not work. So we'll be back in January 2022, either with new links or these links continuing, depending on what Zoom limits me to. So, and that will go out in the December newsletter. So there will still be a newsletter, and that'll have all the links for January and 2022. Oh, wait. Any questions about that before I move on? Okay. Learning Gardens, Master Gardeners, and Black Futures Farm are 3 of the amazing things at the Green Thumb site. I know that we don't have anyone from Learning Gardens tonight, so the only announcement I have for them is that their harvest share is closed for the season. So if you want to know more, you'll have to hit them up. And I can pass it over to Malcolm. Malcolm, you want to tell us what's new and hopping at Black Futures Farm?
What's new at Black Futures Farm? Well, we got robbed again. That's great.
No,
This is
what
like
was
the,
taken?
this is like the 3rd or 4th time. They took our solar generator again. So there's the second one we replaced. They took an expensive wheelbarrow. They took all of our tents, 2 of our tables, some tools.
Oh my God.
They took, yeah, we're still finding out. They took our weed whackers, like the gas powered weed whackers. They took 3 of the 4. Yeah, they hit us for about $1,500 worth of stuff. And I want to say too that like they did it with impunity. It took 2 hours, according to the motion detectors in the video from PPS. They hit a lot of other people's stuff. They were unsuccessful in getting some of the other sheds. They took our drills. They drilled. They, I guess, had a screwdriver, and yep, because I found a screwdriver that wasn't ours on a table, but they unscrewed the locks to our tough shed, so they didn't have to break the lock. They just unscrewed the hinge, took it off, and then screwed it back on. So I was walking around and I didn't even realize we had been hit until I opened up the shed, and I was like, this is weird. The lock is kind of funny. And then I opened it and it was empty. I was like, I won't even say the words that I said.
I'm so sorry, Malcolm. Okay, what is the best thing to do against a repeat?
We're gonna have to put up some kind of camera system and have security, lights need to happen. I need like a laser guided attack hawk. I'm gonna have to work with the rats at the farm to get the rats to attack all intruders.
After anyone who comes in after midnight or 10 p.m.
Do you guys have a GoFundMe or a list of like items you need donated?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Honestly, yes, I'm gonna put up some kind of GoFundMe. But we have to figure a more sustainable solution because we've now replaced 2 solar generators. So yeah, we're gonna get a shipping container. That's our long-term solution, is to put it into something that's just more trouble. Yeah, and we'll put up, some sensors and cameras and stuff, but it's very discouraging.
No kidding. And who, I mean, who do you think these are?
So this is the conversation that Mirabai and I have had. These people are drug addicts, and I say this as somebody who's in recovery, who had my own addiction problem, was homeless, the whole thing. This is coming from somebody who is a part of that population. These are not people they didn't take any food. These are people who came in and stole stuff for their camps or whatever, because they took our tents and our solar generator. And they're either sold it for drug money, or it's out on the Springwater Trail somewhere.
So one of the solutions we talked about was somehow, I don't know how this would work or how we would get it started, but is either working with pawn shops or, I don't know, penalizing them for accepting certain goods or something like somewhere else in the chain. It's come up in our discussions, like to focus also somewhere else in the chain, because it's clear, you know, what's going on.
Well, so
And
you said
maybe-
work with whom? I didn't catch that. I take notes.
With pawn shops or any of the people that buy the items.
Right, okay, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, and figuring out maybe that network and how to, I mean, that's one possibility that we've discussed. I don't know what that would entail, but it's worth maybe everyone kind of thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna lock all our stuff up in an ugly steel container.
How can we help you get it?
Hold on, Stephanie, we have a couple of raised hands.
I'm sorry.
So Laura Lee, you're first, and then Kim.
I just wanted to make a quick comment that cameras can help. We had in front of my house a fourth car, a stolen car parked, and my neighbor across the street actually has a motion camera, and we could not get the non-emergency police to come out until this fourth time last night. And we were able to say we have them on camera, and we now have somebody on camera twice, same person. And that sparked an interest, and they actually came. And what's really interesting is the people who stole the car and dumped the car came back and tried to get back into the car because they left the stuff that they stole in the car and they wanted to try to get it. And so,
Wow.
but it took a lot, 4 stolen cars parked in front of my house before we could get the police out here. But I think the reason why they came is because we said we've got video, and now we have video of the same person on twice. And so just a suggestion. I don't know if it'll help or not.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have video from PPS, but you can't clearly make out their camera. You can see people moving around for 2 hours, but you can't see the people.
Okay.
I couldn't identify them from that video.
So
Chris-
my neighbor ran out and took a picture, which was really not smart of him because he did get threatened, but he just was kind of over it. And so on top of his video, he ran out with his cell phone, which I was looking out my window with my cell phone, trying to make sure that he was going to be okay. But I'm so sorry that happened to you guys. I really am. It's just increasing all over this town.
Yeah, I mean, it's addiction. It's not. That's what it is. Thank you, honey. It's addiction fueled crime. They didn't come, they came at midnight. They didn't come at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and saunter through there and casually, like they came in prepared to steal from us. They like unscrewed the locks and took our wheelbarrows and,
And they did significant damage to the fence near the community garden, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And
they did hit a couple of other.
Okay, and there's other stuff too. Like this is not. And I told you they had vandalized our tomatoes before and took a poop in our potatoes. Like, yeah, it's common. We want to focus on solutions, and
So you have
other announcements. We're working on really cool programming, building partnerships, deepening our partnership with OSU Extension. We applied for some other grant funds to further electrify our site. So I can't make any announcements, but so that folks know that what we're doing is we're trying to build a 100% sustainable clean energy farm so that we could use Black Futures as a model for what you could do with your small farms, and then also for your housing space. So that's cool. I'll start sharing the dates of our little online seminars that we'll have, and hopefully maybe have some in-person meetings at BD about what we're doing.
Thank you,
I
Malcolm.
don't want to take up too much. That's us. It's good things are happening. Overall, really good things are happening.
I think neighbors had a couple more questions about the vandalism. Is that all right? Or do you want us to
Yeah,
move
sure.
on from that topic?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Kim, you were next.
I just wanted to comment about the pawn shops. I believe if you have an itemized list and you give it to the police, I thought what they were supposed to do was disseminate that to the pawn shops. And if not, you could probably either do that yourself or see, maybe look into that process. I can try to look it up too for a Google search, but I thought they had to somehow disseminate that information.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, that's very helpful.
yeah, thanks.
All right, and Stephanie, you had another comment or question?
Yes, please. And first, I'm sorry for not raising my hand before. I was so upset I forgot the procedure on Zoom. How does one acquire a big shipping container, and how much does it cost, and how can we, I want to help. What,
How much is it, Eddie? Our one of our other directors, Eddie, said the one that they got at our other site is $1,800. And there's a bunch of, and that's to get it delivered. And there's a bunch of websites that sell them. Stephanie, you and I can talk about how you could support us with that. But yeah, thank you.
okay.
Do you have my information, Stephanie, my contact information?
No, I don't.
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you. Okay.
Awesome. Malcolm, I had one question. Does PPS have plans to put a security guard out there since their buildings are also at risk?
They had some security guards last year. I don't know what happened. They had some people stationed out there last year. I don't know what happened.
That sounds
Yep.
about right for PPS. Okay.
Yeah.
Thought on the shipping container, it'd be a great space for a mural. So
We agree.
would love to help out with that. And maybe Stephanie, if you investigate with Malcolm and Mirabai about the shipping container, maybe BDNA could at least contribute to it or
Okay.
or help with a fundraiser.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, we got to do something. This is so unacceptable.
All right, so we're gonna move on. But maybe if you work nights or out late at night, walk by the garden extra and make noise and shine your lights in and make it look like it's a little more lived in and folks and not such easy pickings.
Yeah.
Thank
that's a good
you.
suggestion, yeah.
And I love the solutions oriented. So I'll put our thinking caps on. I'm gonna pass it on now to a different spot at Green Thumb to Linda with Multnomah Master Gardeners.
Well, we didn't get broken into this time, Malcolm, but we have been broken into twice this year. It was, I believe, in April and in August. And we do have a big, ugly steel security container on our property to put our expensive stuff in there. And we had to do that. We did that at the end of 2020 because of thefts that we had in 2020. And it seems to be working, but who knows? On the plus side, we're winding down at the garden, getting ready for winter. We do not garden over the winter yet. As far as edibles go, our perennials are maintained over the winter. So we do have gardeners who do come in, not on as normally as we do during the summer, but during the winter, we do have a couple of work days. Right now, we're working on all of those garden projects that we didn't have time to do during the growing season. And because that's really busy for us. And so far, right now, we're looking forward to a bit of rest for a couple of months and then spring planting and hopefully summer educational events this year. We really, really need to do that because we are an educational garden. That's all I have for this time. One other thing is that Chelsea has added our YouTube channel information, a link to our YouTube channel, and we do have a couple of educational videos on that YouTube channel that were shot at the garden. And we are continually adding more, just getting started. So there you go. Thank you.
Excellent. And we are looking forward to partnering on some of those summer educational events, hopefully. And we thank you, Linda, for coming to our meetings every month to give us an update on one of the other gems in our community.
Thank you.
Any questions for Linda before we move on? All right. Brings us to another garden. Well, it's not in our neighborhood. It is our closest botanical garden and our most accessible and affordable. So I'll turn it over to Mary. Go ahead and tell us what's great at Leach right now.
Thank you, Chelsea. I have just a few things to share with you. One is a Winterfest will be held the first weekend in December 3rd through the 5th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There will be a treasure hunt for families. We'll be serving hot cider. The horticultural staff will be available that Friday and Saturday to answer gardening questions. The hours are 10:30 to 3:30 on those 3 days for the fest. And hopefully we'll have weather that allows people to get out and about. That weekend is always kind of fun to anticipate what it's going to do out of the sky. I wanted to let you know about a spring plant sale that's going to be happening in 2022. There will be a order link going live in February to order native plants from Sparrowhawk Nursery. And then folks will be picking those up in April 7th through the 9th. And there'll also be a plant sale at the garden. And so pretty excited about this, to be able to finally have a spring plant sale. And this partnership with Sparrowhawk is new, and we're really looking forward to that. Just a reminder that winter hours are Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 4, and the gift shop wasn't open today because of the horrible wind, but it's open from 10:30 to 3:30 on those days, Wednesday through Sunday. Thank you, Chelsea.
You're welcome. And folks, if you're excited about the Sparrowhawk sale, remember that BDNA is a potential fall 2022 host. So definitely check it out at Leach. And Mary, let us know how it goes for you. I really enjoyed the experience as a shopper. So I'd love to know the experience as a hosting site.
Okay,
And
will do.
as soon as you have promotional material, let us know. We will happily advertise that, because native plants are great. All right, we don't have a school rep here today, so you get me. Just a heads up, there is no school for students in our neighborhood this coming Friday, as in tomorrow, November 5th, as well as next Thursday, Friday, the 11th and 12th, and the full week of Thanksgiving, November 22nd through the 26th. So watch out extra for kids on these days, especially during school hours, because they will not be in school. They will be out and about. Now, if you're wondering what you're going to do with your kids, our local art and music friends at Vibe of Portland are offering no school day art workshops for all of the dates that aren't holidays. And so you can check out that info there, and I'll post here on the links shortly. And know that they have full scholarships available, and kids in our neighborhood qualify, and it's super easy. It's like a Google form you fill out. And so if the cost is prohibitive, just email them and they will make it happen. And these camps are great. My kid's gone to them. Lots of other neighborhood kids have gone to them, and they are really inclusive and a great thing to do. And they're often taught by Brentwood-Darlington neighbors as well. So the other school announcement I have comes from Chris Gustafson, and she couldn't be here because she's actually at the meeting for the Southeast Guiding Coalition, because our meetings coincide. This is a group that is working to establish boundaries for the new Harrison Park Middle School and increase enrollment at Lane. And they are using a lens to make decisions that have the most positive outcomes for Black and Native American students. And if you have questions about that, you can contact Chris. I'll post it in the chat shortly. And there's some information there. There's the different scenarios that they're considering between Proposal A and Proposal B. So you can read through that. It does affect how our schools are funded. It affects what kids go where and how they're bused. So even if you don't have kids, it is important to look at this and check it out and see what's happening with school boundaries. So I don't have any more information than that on it, so I'll post her information shortly in the chat as soon as I get a moment. Okay, Stephanie, our neighbor that wanted to talk on this topic is not here for the topic of camping along Southeast Harney.
So I could talk about his situation.
Okay, do you want to give a little overview while I post in the chat and then we'll go from there?
Sure.
Okay.
What are you posting in the chat?
The links from previous. I need to go copy them and paste them. So if
Oh,
you'll start on this,
okay, fine.
I'm still listening. My hands are just busy.
Oh, okay, so Thomas Cheek is a resident who lives on Harney Drive, right where it meets the Springwater Corridor, and the Springwater Corridor goes behind his house. And right where his fence, his east side fence is, there's a diamond-shaped area that's bounded by Harney Street, the Springwater Corridor, and Thomas Cheek's fence. And it used to be, he told me that it used to be thick with trees and bushes and vines and, you know, whatever, weeds. And the city mowed it and made a perfect site for a camp. And a group of meth heads moved in and started holding, setting up tents and strewing garbage, as you can see, and then holding 3 a.m. in the morning meth parties and just making life hell for the neighbors in the area, and in particular for Thomas Cheek. I mean, he was planning to move, and he had put his house up for sale, but once the encampment was established, there was no one making any offers on his house anymore. And he begged the city to clear the camp, and finally did get the city to do that. City gave the heave-ho to the campers, and I don't know where they went, and I don't know who cleaned it up. But anyway, Thomas Cheek bought himself a bunch of trees. They look to me like little cedar trees, and he's planted them in this area, and the city has put up signs that say camping prohibited. And then he wanted to put some bushes and things in too. So I put him in touch with Scott Goodman, who said he had some Oregon grape to give away. So they're trying to Thomas Cheek is trying to recover the area so that it doesn't offer a nice invitation for putting up tents and strewing garbage and so on. So his house is still for sale, and he had bought a house in Florida, assuming he would be able to sell his house here. So he's been in financial hardship here because of what happened. So I think you know, I told him how to reach Scott and get some bushes for the area, and so his story may be coming to a satisfactory close at the moment. But the point is very hard. The point is, it's very hard on people living in that area because of the encampments and the thefts and vandalism. Cartlandia especially has been very hard hit. Cartlandia is just up the way. It's just a few inches up the way from Thomas Cheek's house, or that area next to him where people were camping. So I haven't heard from him lately. He seemed grateful for the whatever help we could give him, which wasn't much. You know, I think he's getting some bushes, but I think you know, this is just another instance where we just have to have our governing bodies do something. You know, we've just heard the story from Malcolm. That's just so devastating, and it's really very frustrating. If I might take this moment to speak about something I was going to speak about when I was doing my report, but Scott Goodman and Anna Weichsel and I met recently. Anna is with the Woodstock Neighborhood Association, and we talked about possibly forming a little informal coalition of neighborhood associations and maybe Impact Northwest and Rose CDC and so on, to see if there's something we can't do to lessen some of the burden that we're experiencing from having camps in our neighborhood. And we haven't moved very far in our discussions, but we are thinking about it. If it's only to help to spread word to campers where they can access resources and services, and spread word to residents, where they can access resources and services to help them in their particular situations. Even if it's just information dissemination, it would be something. But we don't have a lot of resources ourselves. Anyway, this is just to go back to recap. And this is Thomas Cheek's story, and I guess he didn't come tonight because I think he's reached some resolution, and that's it. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, thank you. Laura Lee, you had a question or comment?
Stephanie, was the area that was cleared of trees and bushes, was that city owned, or was?
Yes, it's owned by the city. Yeah.
Why did they do that? Did they give him any explanation for that?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. It's just an overzealous mower along the Springwater corridor. Maybe somebody thought he was doing, a good thing. He's mowing up and down the trail and then decided to mow a little more. I suspect that that's what happened. Somebody.
It's also likely for fire protection, because if you have large fields, if you have a field like that with shrubbery and things, especially during fire season, that could be a hazard.
Okay, but it had not been mowed previously, though. I mean,
right, but it's the last couple of years, the fire danger has been much more heightened. So
that's true. So I don't know. I'm just guessing too. Yeah, I don't know.
Gail has a comment in the chat. Maybe the city could buy his house to use as security and residential treatment facility, and then they could turn that field into a safe camping area. That would be cool. That's actually not a bad idea, Gail.
Yeah, well, right across the street is an empty property that's going for not very much money. That would make it's larger and would allow for more safe camping spots.
So that was a question that I got back in our email. Speaking of safe camping, Stephanie, I just, we finally, way long after the fact of the Safe Rest Villages, got a response back about it. And they mentioned if we knew of good spots in our neighborhood to let them know. My only hesitancy with suggesting something there is Cartlandia would have to be on board.
Right, yeah.
They have been so hard hit, and they would have to have some guarantees from the city that it wouldn't allow them to continue to, to have the things happen that have been happening, with the same things that are happening at the Green Thumb site with robberies and vandalism and things like that. There would need to be some sort of security or agreement in place.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. If we want to recommend that the city buy that site, or as Gail's suggesting, buy Thomas Cheek's house and whatever. Yeah, we need to do some foundational work first and be sure that Cartlandia is included in this. And I think the idea of the Safe Rest Villages is to get rid of the encampments and get people into the villages where they have restrooms and kitchens and services, and people and who are watching what's going on. It's not like an unsupervised camp. And so I was just wondering, hoping that if there were a Safe Rest Village in that area, it might take pressure off Cartlandia if campers are cleared off the Springwater corridor and put into that village where they're supervised. And but I don't know, I don't know enough details or what kind of resources the city would devote to a Safe Rest Village. Yeah, the whole concept of the Safe Rest Villages is to get people off the streets and then start talking to them individually and finding out what they need, and then move them up the conduit to more permanent housing and to drug treatment and mental health treatment and so on. That's kind of the idealistic view of all this. So if things were working really well in that respect, then Cartlandia would see some relief, but we can't guarantee that. But yes, we can't do anything without involving Cartlandia right there. I agree.
Any other comments, questions, discussion from neighbors? If you're not a board member, even if it's your first meeting, you are welcome to jump in. Lots of opinions welcome. I think we're all just trying to figure out how to help our outside neighbors. And so Stephanie, it sounds like maybe a coalition with some of the other neighborhood associations on solutions to help our neighbors, with solutions both for housed and houseless neighbors that are helpful and not just sweeping them to another area, and coming up with maybe some creative solutions we could put to practice in our own neighborhoods and see if we can just help folks.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll keep pursuing this with Scott and Anna, and then we'll rope more people in as we figure out whom to rope in. Of course, BDNA and Woodstock, obviously.
And
But
maybe
anyway,
come up with some creative solutions that we can implement, since the city isn't really getting there quickly. Even if it's just working out a deal to have trash cans and key points, and maybe spring for some porta potties, because we could mitigate some of the lesser effects for everybody while making our houseless neighbors more comfortable. And I know you don't have to be houseless to appreciate a porta potty when you're out and about and you really got to go. So, Laura Lee, go ahead. Oh, sorry, not Laura Lee. Adrian, my screen flipped.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Good evening. I have not attended here previously, and the topic being addressed right now is related to my reason for attending. I live in the neighborhood and have enjoyed walking around the Brentwood City Park, and I wanted to attend to see if the matter of the vehicles staying on Southeast 60th overnight has been touched upon at previous meetings here. There are RVs that are parked out there. I understand well, not entirely, but I do know that it's a complex issue involving houselessness, um, safety, security. I've noticed that there are schools in the area, that there are gardens in the area. There's the park with lots of activity. So I'm attending to hear if the issue of RVs parking there, and whether the issue has been growing, whether more people have been parking their vehicles there overnight, RV type vehicles, trailers. If that's something that the neighborhood association here has discussed, and what the attitude or the thinking is on that. Rather, I would like to know if what the thinking is as a neighbor to adjust, to adapt to what the circumstances are. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Welcome. So we have worked on the issue of RVs on 60th before. A couple of years ago, there was a little more than there are now, and a few of them were leaking fluids that were not safe. And so we did have to address them with the city. And another group that was active in the community at the time, the Brentwood-Darlington Community Watch, they advocated to have the no parking signs put up. So if you look where the RVs are parked, there is no parking overnight signs there, which were effective for a while, but are no longer. So the short version of it is there is nowhere for the RVs in Portland to go. There, if your RV is over a certain age, campsites won't take you, and most campsites and RV campgrounds don't have space anyway. They're all full. So it is a problem all over the city. If there is an issue with sanitation or something that is dangerous to people who are walking, or perhaps animals like dogs that are being walked in that area, then we can call certain bureaus in the city to come mitigate that. At this time, there is not an active push to move them. And I don't know how the board is feeling about that at the moment. I do know that we can call if there is a safety issue for one of the reasons, but I am open to suggestions, questions, comments on how we can work that. I would really love to have access to that empty parking lot that you can see kind of off to the left there in the picture, and be able to open it up and let neighbors park their RVs there instead, maybe with a dumpster and a porta potty. So that would be my preference, is a solution like that. So does that answer any questions, Adrian, or make it more muddy?
Like I said, I appreciate your comments, and I wanted to attend to get my finger on the pulse of where the association and the neighbors stand on this. As I said, it's a complex issue with many facets. Thank you.
You are absolutely correct there. Hands up from Stephanie and Laura Lee. Stephanie, you can go first, and then Laura Lee. And then before we jump off this topic completely, I want to let Trang talk about the link she posted in the chat. So go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, so a couple of board meetings ago, the board approved the idea of our advocating to the city council.
Oh, Stephanie, can I pause you just one moment? Oh, I missed her. I was going to let Trang talk and I totally spaced it. I wish she had interrupted me.
I'm sorry. I thought you called on
no,
me.
Totally me forgetting that we had emailed. So I will highlight her comment after you're done. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, would Trang like to go ahead, or?
She had to go. We have 2 Trangs tonight. We are excellent and lucky. So
we have 2 Trangs.
Stephanie, sorry to throw you off your comment.
That's okay. All right. So the board approved the concept of speaking to city council and asking for some assistance with our nuisance properties. And then one of our board members asked if we could please add the situation of the RVs on 60th. So we said that we would, and now it seems like we're having we need to add theft and vandalism into the picture from unknown sources. So I guess I should work on the statement this weekend that we can review and revise and then approve and then submit to city council. So I promise to do that.
Thank you. I vaguely remember that discussion. I would have to look at my notes for the details because my brain just doesn't hold it anymore. Laura Lee, before I let you go, I want to mention what Trang had put in the comments, that there is a upcoming, living in community with those without housing, organized by PSU. It's an upcoming event, and the link is there in the chat. And so if this topic is of interest to you, you might want to check that out and see what it's about. Laura Lee, go ahead.
I just had a really quick comment. I'm glad that Adrian brought up the topic. And I really like your suggestion of an empty parking lot and being able to park the RVs someplace else except along 60th, because I think that we haven't really addressed the issue that much recently as a board because of COVID and wintertime. And now we're going to get a lot more activity with kids out in the parks starting in the spring, I feel. And so it might be something we want to readdress of the RVs.
And where is this parking lot again? Is this the Postal Service parking lot on Harney?
I'm not sure. I believe it is. It's that empty locked one that's just sitting there.
Okay.
So but it was just, it's an example of like, can we find an empty parking lot in our neighborhood?
Yeah. No,
Go to the RVs and say, hey, you can't be here, but you can be at this other place. Here's the address. When you get there, there's a dumpster and a porta potty, and the gray water truck will be by on this schedule to drain your RV.
yeah, no, that's good because excuse me for going on, but we said, we did say when we, wanted to put in our statement to council that we not only complain, but that we offer ideas. So yes, okay.
And Kim reminded us in the chat that you can use the PDX Reporter app to report vehicles. And Trang, who is still here, I just saw your message. Would you like to talk about the event?
Sorry, I finally found the unmute button. Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Do you want to go ahead and tell us about your event?
Yes, so Trang and I, we are building an online marketplace for locals to sell and buy fresh goods that they grow or make directly from each other. And so to celebrate this season, we are running a river seller program where each person, if you know a friend who is an avid gardener, forager, or artisan producer who is so passionate about making good, fresh goods and healthy offerings to the community and want to earn a bit extra money from their passion. And together we can build like a community for people to buy hyper local. Then you can refer that friend to join our community, and right away you would receive a dozen of local fresh eggs from a local farm in Portland.
Oh boy, that sounds great.
Trang, would you put a link to that in the chat for me by chance? And definitely click on that and share that, folks. And if you would like us to post it to our website, send me more info. And there's a few Facebook groups that would definitely be interested in that. So
awesome. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we caught that before the first hour was up, because I saw that the very end before I got to the meeting, and then my brain decided to forget it for a while.
Thank you so much for letting us to join this meeting. And I'm really impressed at all of the conversations that we are having. I feel very grateful that people in different neighborhoods all care to build like a strong community for us all.
We have a winner of a neighborhood. Definitely recommend it. Stephanie, your hand's up. Do you have a question or comment?
Oh, okay. So no, I just wanted to know, there's Trang Ho and Trang Sharba. Yes. Okay. But wonderful. Wonderful to have you both. So I'm just, I'm going to lower my hand now. I was starting to be confused, but now I understand. We have two Trangs. Okay. Wonderful.
We are high school friends, and it's a super popular Vietnamese name.
Oh, I see. Oh, oh, well, it's lovely to have you here.
Awesome.
Fabulous.
At least your last names are different letters, and so they could do maybe the equivalent of what they do here, where they do the last initial.
Yes. Yes.
My sister ended up in a class with the same name, same last initial, and the same middle name. So they couldn't use any of the variations. So they had to go with like short and tall, I think is what they wanted. My sister's significantly tall. She's almost 6 foot. So it was really funny. But we were so happy to have you. Okay, everybody. I know we are a little off our agenda, but we'll talk about Southeast Uplift. I think we could all use about a 5-minute break. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
We'll talk about Southeast Uplift when we get back. All right. Do we need a full 5 minutes or is 2 minutes enough?
Well, how about 5 minutes? Because I want to look at Masa Fresh. So this is.
All right. Take 5 minutes. Go click on Masa Fresh. Go check out the PSU event. Check the links in the chat. And we'll be back at 8:03. I'm going to pause the recording and I'll see you all then. Go refill your waters. All right. Whoops. Before we go to our treasurer's report, I was going to do Southeast Uplift. Stephanie, you have a question or comment?
Just really fast. I just looked at Masa Fresh website and it's just wonderful. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye.
Awesome. I know that I think it was Malcolm was mentioning that they have a really great platform. I am looking forward to checking it out. All right. So actually, before we get into Southeast Uplift, I'm going to go ahead and let Lynn do the treasurer's report because that's a fairly short segment and then she doesn't have to wait to get her 5 minutes. So, and then we'll bounce back to Southeast Uplift and then we'll hit all the other news that's good. Go ahead, Lynn.
Okay. So basically what I did this month is I emailed the board. I combined I basically transferred the savings account. We had about $996 in the savings and I transferred it over to checking just to make it easier for me for record keeping. So we started off with $5,475 in checking, added the savings of $996. We had $304 in expenses. We ended up with $6,166 in the account. And then with the forecasted expenses and reimbursements, we're going to end up with $5,586. So any questions on the report?
Nope.
All right. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Lynn. I have
All
two updates on expenses that I need to report on.
Okay.
One is the signs. We purchased the signs, which you already reimbursed for. So board members, I know Kim and Laura Lee wanted a sign. If you want a sign to display, claim your sign now, and then the rest will be put in more of those key locations. So if you want one of our cool crypto slow signs that we purchased, message or email me and tell me your top 3 choices in animal, and I'll get you one. I will even deliver if you let me know what you want. And Lynn, how's yours holding up? Is it still there?
Actually, it lasted 2 weeks and then it was gone. So it got
All right.
stolen.
Would
Yeah.
Fred be willing to put it up about 7 feet high if I give you a new one? Like threw it into the pole?
If you want to, another turtle would be fine.
Okay, if you prefer not, it's totally fine and I can do it down closer to the garden. So your choice, let me know in the email or chat.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Let's see, looks like Gale Street's already pretty heavily decorated. Is there a key intersection near you, Gail? Maybe at Duke or Ogden where we could stick one where it would be along one of our safe routes? You pick a location, I'll get you one. Awesome, I see Duke there. That'd be a really great spot to find a end cap for. For those who don't know what those are, we purchased some of these slow crypto signs from local artist Mike Bennett. They're the turtle and the sloth and the snail and the slug and the koala that you see all over Portland, and we're putting them in strategic locations along our safe routes to school and in areas where speeding is prevalent or there's heavy foot traffic. Just kind of as a little heads up. I know people will eventually get used to them, but they might work for a while. The other thing I have to update on is the grocery outlet gift cards. Those are our $50 each gift cards we have to give out to neighbors experiencing food insecurity. And I wanted to report that I've given out 4 of those in the last month. And they went to various neighbors, houseless and housed in our neighborhood, and families, kids, single folks. We are helping across the board for ages, cultures, and family types. So just wanted to give us a little thumbs up report on that they are still getting handed out to neighbors in need. Usually I'll see a need or hear of a need and find a way to get them one. So thanks for doing that. We've had some pretty amazed neighbors who get those. Any other questions on our treasurer's report? Another big thank you to Lynn for being our treasurer. We so appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Kim, do you want to tell us what the heck is going on at Southeast Uplift?
Yeah,
How
right.
about start with the new director and go from
Yes.
there?
All right, Nancy Champlin, and she seems really, really great. She took time to schedule a one-on-one with all of the board members. So I had mine, like a couple of Sundays ago, kind of just a one-on-one get to know you, kind of get your thoughts on things. I felt that was really productive. Really quick though, I know that Stephanie wanted me to ask her or to mention the childcare for in-person meetings and to clarify the PBOT form covered for the street. So she's aware of that and will get back to me on that. And so apparently, right when I joined Southeast Uplift, there was an incident where one of the board members, who is a person of color, was attacked by another board member, and it was a very uncomfortable situation for her. And so the Mount Scott Neighborhood Association wrote a letter to the Southeast Uplift board, and one of the proposed changes they wanted to see was that board members could be removed without approval from their neighborhood associations. That board members could be approved, of course, with a vote from the board for inappropriate conduct. Let's see, it says it's to protect the board, the organization and its board from potential liability risks and to create an inclusive and safe environment. So we did actually take a vote at that meeting and approved that language to be included in the bylaws, which we will, I think it's going to be officially enacted in the bylaws next meeting. There was some people that didn't vote because they felt like they hadn't been provided the clear enough information beforehand to make a vote, but it had a majority of votes, so it passed. And I did vote for that. And my short time on Southeast Uplift, I feel like some action needs to be taken to start to move that organization forward and to start to address some of the problems that they're having. And I don't think it's inappropriate at all to remove someone if there truly is a conduct issue, something that's habitual. And it would have a fair process at any rate.
Kim,
I have the letter, and I can either share my screen if anybody wants to read it, or I can send it to the group.
can I clarify a couple things for neighbors who
Sure.
might not be as familiar with the situation? The attack was not physical, it was verbal,
Right.
correct?
Oh, yep, verbal. Yes, totally. Thank you.
And the suggested language is to correct a loophole where currently the representative board member from each neighborhood association can only be removed by their neighborhood association. So let's say hypothetically, our rep, someone other than Kim, behaved badly. If we did not agree that that behavior was inappropriate and did not remove them as our representative, the Southeast Uplift Board, who is made up of all the neighborhood association representatives, could not remove that bad actor from the board, even if they continued to be disruptive or hurtful in some way. Am I correct, Kim? And
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that is the loophole that this is closing.
Yes.
That has kind of been exploited in the past.
Mhm.
Do you, okay, go ahead, Kim. I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah. No, that's accurate. Thank you. They also requested that, should he not, apologize, that action be taken against him. I was looking for that language. I apologize, I didn't have it. That to issue a censure with a path available towards restorative justice. And if person fails to issue a public apology acknowledging the harm they cause, Southeast Uplift should withhold Richmond Neighborhood Association community funds and insurance for directors until there's a clear commitment by the association towards Southeast Uplift's diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility policies. Was another one of their points. That board member did offer, some apologies via email and whatnot. I don't know how it was received, by the recipient of who experienced harm. So I just hope that we can kind of work together. I know they sent out, we just got our Southeast Uplift board packets, and, it included equity language that you had to sign, inclusion language, ethics. So I think that that's helpful, kind of putting a focus on that. I can share that with you guys as well.
Yeah, could you share that with the board? It would be great to review some of that and make sure that we're following those best practices, because we don't get a lot of guidance, and you can't know what you don't know. And so I would love to maybe in January review that and make sure that we are entering 2022 with intention to really be more inclusive of our neighbors, especially as we get more vaccinated and get more out and about, where we can reach out the right way.
They also give kudos to BDNA for fiscal sponsorship. So not sure who was in charge of that, but kudos was given.
Thumbs up to Lynn for managing that. And it was for our multi-language brochure grant that we got, which I will be sending out a draft report to the board before the end of the month, because it is due in December. So look for that from me soon for comment, and then I'll send that off. We just have to do our final report. We spent all of our money, and we have beautiful brochures. So if you need them in Spanish or Vietnamese, let me know. And also, we need more English brochures. So I'll work with Derek to get those priced out. And so let me know if you want any updates to those. Kim, anything more from Southeast Uplift? You're still muted.
Yeah, no. I was, sorry, I muted so that I could send those emails to you guys so that I would not forget. But no, that was about it. So I think, hopefully we can start to kind of work past this, because it's been pretty tumultuous.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
And well, this particular issue isn't super public and well known. If you are curious about what's going on, the Lentz Neighborhood Association recently had a similar problem happen, and to the point where the current board had recommended dissolving until it could be done better. So there's a letter up on the Lentz Neighborhood Association website that details a lot of the issues that are kind of reflected in this same situation. So kind of gives a good overview if you're not familiar. On the upside, hopefully the new director will finally get us insurance for childcare someday. You know,
I
we're
think, I
five
think
directors
so.
at this point. We've got to get it at some point.
Mhm. I feel hopeful. I feel hopeful. I feel like I felt heard, and I feel like she is definitely capable of getting those tasks accomplished. So,
Yeah, the emails I saw from her also gave me that vibe. I'm really excited to see the energy that she's putting out. Stephanie, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, please. And this is a general statement, but also, concerns the insurance. So it's
Mhm.
also directed to Kim. We would like to see the entire policy. We have never seen the
Mhm.
policy. And we know that we have an insurance certificate filed every year at PBOT. So we're completely
Mhm.
covered for events that take place in the right of way or along the street right of way. So that's not a problem anymore, but we want to know what all is covered. We've
Okay.
never been able to see our policy.
Okay, I'll make that happen.
Okay, thank you so
Even
much.
if I become a thorn in someone's side.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be hidden. I mean, there should be no secret about the policy.
Right,
So
you're right.
anyway, thank you,
Right.
Kim. Okay.
Yeah, that, you're right. That should be very clear so that people know how
Mhm.
they can operate.
Kim, we will be that blackberry bush behind you holding up the thorns. All right. Any other questions about Southeast Uplift?
No,
All right.
but thank you, Kim.
Let's move forward to committee reports and other updates. Reminder, we started the new work group. It was a fun meeting last time with me and Kim and Laura Lee. We didn't record it because we were all tired and not looking our best. So
What did you talk about? Because I missed it.
we mainly chatted about things that we have already covered tonight. Kim, do you have better memory notes than I do? I'd have to, let's see. Oh, here we go. Nuisance houses. Nope. That I can't read that. Kim or Laura Lee, do you have better notes than I do and have your access at the moment?
I'm gonna look.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And
gotta
I
get
think
back.
we talked a little bit about the safe houses and
Oh, that's true.
yeah, we got into a little bit of discussion on how they will benefit certain families for sure, but I was a little skeptical on if it's going to reduce the amount of camping throughout
Mhm.
Portland, things like that.
That's right. And then we talked about multi-tiered solutions, like
Mhm.
for families experiencing different levels of barriers
Mhm.
to housing. So like if it's just that you can't make your first and last, or you can't get the credit approval, or
Mhm.
you can't get like just these little tiny things, like maybe you don't have the transportation to get your housing voucher where it needs to go. That can be a barrier that will cost you your housing. So, and I think we talked about other ways that we could suggest the city use existing infrastructure instead of building new infrastructure. So that was mostly it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a decent recap.
So a lot of what we talked about, but with more pie in the sky ideas. So work group is still pretty informal, and we're trying different ways of doing it, but everyone is welcome. You don't have to be on the board. We kind of limit it to about 3 topics, so there's time for discussion, and it doesn't go too crazy. So, and I will put that link in the chat shortly. Now I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie for the land use report. And board members, does anybody else have any committee reports or information? Okay, so this will be our last report of the night. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, here we go on land use. First of all, the street safety news is that speed bumps are being installed on Southeast Flavel Drive. There will be 10 of them, and they should be all fully installed by the end of the day, November 9th. And I've heard from some residents along the street there, and they're pretty happy about this. We'll see, we'll hope that these speed bumps slow down the traffic and divert traffic. I mean, I saw a tractor with a giant container on that street the other day. That does not belong on a street like that. It's a little neighborhood street. But Google apparently sends a lot of traffic along that route. It's a hypotenuse that shortens the distance, if one is traveling from Johnson Creek Boulevard up to 52nd. And we're hoping that the speed bumps are going to divert that kind of traffic back to where it belongs. I also, one of the suffering residents who's been begging PBOT for years to do something about the street, apparently she has figured out how to contact Google Maps. And so I'm thinking that she and I can figure out how to tell Google that this street has got lots of speed bumps now and new speed limits, and is not suitable for diversion, for cut through traffic. So we'll see what we can do. But so anyway, I just learned about this from residents on Flavel Drive who sent me photographs, who texted me photographs of the announcements that had been nailed to telephone poles from PBOT saying that the speed bumps are going to be installed. So there are some pretty happy people down on that road, and they worked for years contacting PBOT and begging for help. So have to give them a lot of credit. We came in at the last minute and helped a little, but they were just very persistent, and we're very grateful to PBOT for responding. So Chelsea, you have your hand up.
I do. I'd like to do something nice for PBOT, even if it's just sending them one of our handmade cards from Gail with a thank you. But I thought I would ask if the neighbors on the road, like the ones who are sending you photos, if you think they would like to sign it or include a message, or
something, if you'll give me the card, I'll go down and get some signatures. I think that would be a lovely thing to do.
And
I did reach out to Scott Cohen and thank him, but a card would be really nice.
BDNA, do we want to include like a gift card to a coffee shop that's near the PBOT office as well?
No, I think just a card with signatures is going to be very, very welcomed by them, because mostly, when they get communications from the public, they're pretty negative. So getting a card from us with some signatures would just be perfect. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I will connect with you to get you I have a couple of cute ones from Gail, so we can pick one that looks kind of the most like that street.
Okay, great.
And Gail, this is a good time to mention I am ready for a new stack of cards. So whenever you have time to make some, I would love them. And the people who get the gift cards in them love the little cards they get. So for those who don't know, Gail hand makes our little BDNA cards that we include our gift cards in when we give them to neighbors in need, or whenever we send out some sort of little thank you. So thanks to Gail for that. And Stephanie, I saw that they were starting the speed bumps on Southeast Flavel Street. It looked like there was at least signage. So
I have never heard of that there would be.
Maybe it's not the speed bumps. Maybe it's that new traffic.
There's a crossing at 62nd that's been in the works for a long time.
That might be what it is. And I'm getting speed bumps on Flavel Drive and the crossing, because there was a sign that they were going to work on it this week. So
oh, wonderful. Okay, that's great. Yeah, that's been in on the books for a long time. Many residents who really wanted a crossing there because kids were crossing there to go up to Lane, right? And so I'm delighted to hear that that they're working on it. So yeah, no, we've gotten a lot of good attention from PBOT in the last couple of years, and it's really making a difference, I think. And Laura Lee, I see that your hand is up, but let me just make one more comment. and this again is directed to Kim. I know that speeding on Duke is a terrible problem. So we'll try to bring that up with, I mean, I can bring that up with PBOT, and I have posted on the TGM map, and I'll tell you everyone about that in a moment. You know, posting that, I have posted that Duke is a problem. I don't want to be belligerently demanding because we've gotten so much investment in our neighborhood. And I feel strongly that having a very friendly and supportive relationship with PBOT can only do us good over the long run. So yeah, I will turn attention to Duke Street, but it may be a while, I'm just saying. Ken.
In the meantime, I'll take my blow dryer and stand out on the curb. Slow them down.
Okay, so I think Laura Lee has her had her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a really fast comment about the speed bumps going in on Flavel Drive. Have you guys driven over those yet? I go through there twice a day on my way to work and on my way home, and I am laughing on how serious those bumps are. I mean, even going over them at 20 miles per hour, my car like bumps up and down. And so I love them. And when you're coming off of 52nd and taking a left, and there's 3 installed in that direction already, people are slowing down for them. And they do have that section in the center. I guess that's for emergency vehicles, so
Yes,
that
it
they can go
is.
quickly. But as far as cars go, you know, you can't avoid going over the bump. And I've noticed with only 3 in so far, everybody going in that direction are staying at 20 to 25 miles per hour all the way through, because they're so afraid that there's going to be like another bump coming up that they haven't seen yet. So I'm so excited for all the bumps to go in. It just makes me smile every time I go down that street now.
I'm so delighted to hear what you're saying, because I've gone down myself, and my impression is that it's slowing the traffic, and there are going to be 10 of them, which is a lot in a very short distance there between Clatsop, Harney, and then 52nd. So I think, yeah, I think it's going to be really helpful. Thank you, Laura Lee. Okay, Chelsea, do you still have your hand up?
Yeah, just a quick comment. When they're all installed, why don't we have a little block party at Hazeltine Park?
Oh, that reminds me. Scott Cohen told me that once they have all the speed bumps installed, then the traffic will be going slow enough so that PBOT can justify putting in a pedestrian crossing at Hazeltine, which they can't do when the traffic is too fast and dangerous. So another thing that we've wanted for so long may well be coming to our way too, which is the crossing at Hazeltine. Yes, I think it'd be fun to have a celebration at Hazeltine. So this is all good. And yeah, sometimes some positive things happen. And okay, so I'll go on the homelessness and BD. I was touching on that earlier about our forming an informal coalition with other entities to come up with suggestions and ideas and information dissemination and so on. So we'll be working on that, and I'll get back to you and let you know where we stand and on that. So I won't. But one of the things that I had proposed that was possibly recommending to the city buying this property near Cartlandia, and then the parking lot that Chelsea was referring to is also, it's right next to that property. So we definitely have to have Cartlandia in on the discussions, and it would be part of we'd invite Cartlandia to be part of that coalition to discuss solutions. So that's just for a future report. And then I was going to talk about advocacy for the nuisance properties. And again, we mentioned this earlier, we are going to also include the presence of RVs. I see many more RVs around our neighborhood everywhere. And I see them on 60th, and some of them have trash, just pouring out the doors and so on. And it's, gosh, it would be easier to, to have them in our presence if there weren't these extra behaviors like the trash. I just can't, I just don't understand it. But anyway, I will be working this weekend on an advocacy statement that I will then share with the board via email, and we can work on it, on, fixing the wording and so on, to the point where the board approves it, and then we can present it to city council. Okay, so then to go on to, I just wanted to comment. I saw an article in one of the local newspapers today saying that complaints about reports of code violations to the Bureau of Development Services are especially numerous in neighborhoods that are experiencing rapid gentrification, and Brentwood-Darlington is one of those. And the article asserts that that people of color and minority communities and so on are being unfairly afflicted with these reports. But I didn't notice, I think that amongst those complaints, there have to be complaints about nuisance properties. And I did not see that called out. And my impression is that these nuisance properties that are sort of hotbeds of stolen bicycles and stolen cars and drug trafficking and so on, are not places where people of color and our various ethnic communities or populations, they don't live there. Those properties seem to me to be dominated by white people. So I am just wondering whether there's been, I would like to find out whether those voluminous numbers of complaints also include complaints against nuisance properties. And I suspect they do. So I would like to see, that nuance called out, because it's a special problem for us. And so I'll just leave that there. But I think I will contact the city auditor and just see if there's more detail to be had here. Okay, so to go on to the Brentwood-Darlington Community Center and Impact Northwest, I spoke with Andy Nelson, the CEO, today, and after a rather lengthy time of not communicating with them, just because I've been away, and also I needed to take a break for a while during the summer, and but had a very nice conversation with him today. And I asked him if he would ask his super professional development office to apply for a planning grant to the Portland Community Energy Project, Portland Community Energy Fund. And this planning grant would be to plan out all the details of converting BDCC to an all-electric building that would be equipped with solar and house batteries that would then keep the building operating even during electrical outages. And the idea is to have BDCC be a cooling and warming center for our area. We don't have one. We don't have one down here. And at the same time that we attend to the house batteries and solar on the roof, we would also remove the methane furnace and put in a heat pump, and remove the methane water heater and put in an electrical water heater, and remove the methane stove from the kitchen and put in an electrical appliance. And in other words, treat that building as something for the future that's built on cleanly produced electricity, or operates on that. And and have and do it with grant money from the PCEF. So first we do the planning grant to find out exactly what's involved and line up contractors and get reports and evaluations from the Energy Trust and so on. And then apply for a larger grant to actually install all this. So he was very open to that, and he is going to ask his development department to submit a grant proposal for a planning grant. The deadline is November 30th. We'll see whether it really happens, but he was very enthusiastic about it. And it's a path to getting our community center, upgraded and rehabbed and made really useful to us in the community, right? So that was very positive. And then we agreed to continue working on our good neighbor agreement. We'll do that starting in January. And we also are going to work on creating an ownership deed in somebody's name. Somebody has to own this building, and most likely it will end up being Impact Northwest because they're the only one who's willing to take it on. But there's a lot of complications to work on. One, it would be great to have the land and the building owned by the same entity. So if we could get Portland Public Schools to just give the land over to Impact Northwest, which would also be taking ownership of the building, that would be the ideal situation. So we're going to see if we can make that happen. We may have to, if the bureaus can't work it out, we may have to turn to a political situation, meaning we reach out to elected officials and make a lot of noise and get them to tell their bureaus to do X, Y, and Z. So we'll see. It's a very interesting situation, but I thought that the applying for the planning grant to rehab the building would be just a wonderful step forward. So are there any questions about that particular issue?
Yes, Stephanie, I have a couple questions, comments, etc. First, on the ownership of the BDCC, we also, I believe we mentioned putting BDNA as like a secondary on the title or something along those lines.
Or having the right of first refusal if Impact were to sell it, yeah.
Something along those lines, that basically if Impact Northwest is no longer able or no longer interested in maintaining the building and owning it, BDNA would then have first right of receiving it back.
Right.
And then on the PCEF grant, Malcolm mentioned in the comments that he's not sure if Impact Northwest is eligible because it's not a POC-led organization. And yeah, Gail, it's not being sold. It's just so somebody can, it's really so we can maintain the building properly, because without the title, we can't fix the roof that really needs to be fixed and get loans to do, fixing it for earthquake safety and other things like that. The other
what is Malcolm's comment?
He doesn't think they're eligible for a Portland Clean Energy Fund grant because the organization is not led by a person of color.
I'm not sure that it has to be led by a person of color, but we'll find out.
So I've been involved with the PCEF planning and everything since pretty much the very beginning. We got a small planning grant, Black Futures did. They prioritize POC-led organizations, and if you're not POC-led, then a significant amount of your board, I think over half, I forget, but yeah, Impact Northwest is not going to be eligible. I don't think they're not. There's a lot of Black women in leadership, but I don't think they're going to pass the sniff test. But it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
We'll see. I mean,
we elect Malcolm for what? Malcolm's not running for anything. Don't elect me for nothing.
Yeah.
On that note, Stephanie, regardless of their grant eligibility, the Portland Bureau of Emergency Management contacted me recently asking about the warming shelter we ran during the power outage at the community center. And I mentioned your idea of the whole building battery to make it a cooling and warming shelter. So perhaps we could partner with the Bureau of Emergency Management and maybe find some funding there or federally or in addition to or instead of grants or however to maybe bring on them as well. And that way it could be designated as a cooling warming shelter that and might give us a little more oomph, kind of like how PBOT partnered with us on the Regional Flexible Funds Grant and was kind of able to advocate for us at a different level.
Okay, all right, well, okay, that sounds promising. And then just to respond to what Malcolm is saying, I'm hoping that impacts current focus, which is, but you know impact well, Malcolm, and I do not, but the current focus is on averting homelessness, right? And so that helps many people of color, and I'm hoping that that will have some importance anyway, would be given some consideration in a grant application. But I will pass your comment on to Andy.
I put the link to the eligibility guidelines in the chat.
The
Sorry.
chat, okay,
Yeah. But yeah, check it out.
okay. All right, I will. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tom. Okay, so then to go on to, what time is it? Okay, BDNA and Portland Clean Air. This is the organization that had the mystery letters that we had endorsed, but we didn't know that we had. We didn't know whom we had supported for what. And so we asked Portland Clean Air to please just remove us as endorsers until we could issue our own letters on our own stationery, specifying exactly what and whom we were supporting, and then we would have our own trail. Now, I think what happened in the past was that Greg Bourget, the head of this whole effort to pressure individual companies to clean up their Air Quality Act, he was just so obsessed with keeping the my screen is widening and dampening. It's just really weird. I mean, it's going large and then small, and it's very distracting. I don't know why it's doing this. Anyway, I think he wanted a lot of secrecy around these letters, and so we somehow through what's his name, Kransky, agreed to endorse some letters, and then we gave them away, and we didn't have any record of them. But now Portland Clean Air has completely accepted our approach. And so the board approved my issuing letters of support to these various neighborhood associations. And we want to support them. First of all, we benefit from the cleaner air, and especially the diesel particulates. And then if we want help in the future with Precision Cast Parts or some other organization, other neighborhoods will be willing to support us because we supported them. So I've sent out 7 letters so far, and the last 4 are all diesel particulates in support. We're supporting the Elliott neighborhood, which is up on the other side of I-84, right? And they are sending letters to Safeway, to TriMet, and then a couple of companies, Redaway and XPO Logistics, that I'm not familiar with, but they all run big fleets of trucks, and many of the trucks are unfiltered. That is, they're just spewing particulates. California doesn't allow this, but Oregon does. And so this is part of a local effort to start corralling these companies that are polluting the air we breathe. So I have made some progress on that. And now Greg Bourget has information on how to buy a monitor that can be used to track volatile organic compounds. And so at the last board meeting, we thought it would be great to get such a monitor because we wanted to keep track of Eagle trailer manufacturing. So, and he's very focused on precision cast parts and monitoring that. So I'm going to look into that and see how much it would cost us. I think it would be around $300, and maybe we can get a donation for that. But that could stand us in good stead. But let me find out more about it, and I will report to you at the next meeting and make a recommendation. But this is a chance to get the monitor that we talked about having, that Chelsea, I think, suggested acquiring. So that could be kind of exciting. And I did read an article recently saying that studies across the United States have shown that when companies are being watched, they emit fewer pollutants. And then when they know that they're not being watched, they go back to business as usual. So, so if we have companies in our area that know they're being watched, we can improve our own air quality. But I will let you know the details. I've read his email once. It's very long and it's so complicated that I'm going to have to study it, but I will report to you. Okay, so then to go, are there any questions about that? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go on to the Lower Southeast Rising, or TGM, planning effort at the site, which you can find by just Googling Lower Southeast Rising. They've got a tab where you can access a map of Brentwood-Darlington, and you can specify places in the neighborhood where you would like to see certain kinds of improvement. So you can put a transportation pin on Southeast Flavel Street, for example, which is what I did, and saying, you know, there's no connection between 72nd and 82nd on Flavel, and we need that. There are several categories of pins. There's environmental. So I suggest we need a lot of work at the intersection of 72nd and Flavel Street, which is the hottest hotspot in Portland. It's just a sea of asphalt there. So we need to dig out the school asphalt. We need to plant trees. Some brilliant chemist has devised a kind of paint called whiter than white that reflects sunlight back into space without warming the atmosphere, because it's not being sent out as infrared, but just as regular light radiation. And so painting the buildings white, putting in trees, and ripping out asphalt are three things that I suggested for that area. But any of you could go to this. It's a lot of fun to click on the map and put in a pin, and then you get to comment, and your comment can be as long as you want. And so I've read some of the comments. You can, if you don't click on the map to put a pin in, you can click on other people's pins and see what they wrote. And some of them are quite long and very, very urgent or fed up or whatever. It's really fascinating to see what people have written. So there's a double pleasure in going to this website and either clicking on the pins or putting pins in yourself. So I highly urge doing that. It's very easy and just very gratifying. Okay, what else?
Stephanie, before you move on, I wanted to mention something specifically about Whitman and all their pavement. I talked to the assistant principal, Selena. If you guys have not met her, she is phenomenal. And they have lost their principal, so she's kind of in the hot seat now. But they are working on a de-pave project to yank up a bunch of that asphalt. So
wonderful.
as she gets more info on that, she's hoping for our support. So we definitely want to support that, I know, but I want to give a heads up now that they are into a de-pave project. They are into getting rid of asphalt and having more trees and making it better for the students. So I will put you in contact with her, because I think you two could go crazy, and that's going to be a forest.
Okay, wonderful.
Also, in the comments, Malcolm mentioned that the director of Multnomah County Sustainability Office has some funds and resources for improving the canopy and reducing the heat signature of exposed areas. So Malcolm, if you have a direct contact, I would love that. And maybe we could kind of hook all these things together and really make that place a beautiful gem in our neighborhood and not the radiating heat pan it is right now.
Right, yeah, okay, super. And then finally, I've learned that in 2016, Parks and Recreation did an extensive inventory of street trees in Brentwood-Darlington. And these are trees that are planted, next to the curb, between the curb and the sidewalk. And they've inventoried what kinds of trees we have, how old they are, where they are planted and where they aren't, and indicates and recommend a plan for the future. So it's very worth looking into. I haven't finished reading it yet, but it's very useful, and it's just our neighborhood, so it's fantastic. So if you just Google Brentwood-Darlington street tree inventory, you will get it.
I've also posted the link in the chat.
Oh, okay, very fun.
Before. And I want to give a shout out. That street tree report was headed up largely by the vice chair of BDNA at the time,
Robert. Yeah, Robert Finn, yeah.
So if you are thrilled with the tree inventory report, give a shout out to Rob. He did a great job helping with that, and we really appreciated his time on the board. So
super, yes. Okay, so I'm going to stop now. That's my report. Are there any questions? Okay, good. No questions. All right, then.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
How about we are done 5 minutes early? Happy end of 2021 for the board meetings for BDNA. Remember, once again, no meetings in December. You can go have them, but we won't be here. And I will send out in our December newsletter the links for 2022. Anything that you saw here, you can find this slideshow at the link in the chat or on your screen. And I hope everyone has a great evening.
Chelsea,
Go ahead.
My computer will not, my mouse is going crazy. It will not let me copy the chat. Will you? Okay, maybe I'm getting it now. Save chat, never mind.
And just so you know, the chat exports automatically when we record meetings. So I always have a copy of that as well.
It exports to you and you have a copy? Okay,
yeah, it makes a folder that has the video, audio only, a chat log, and then one extra file that I don't remember what it does because I never use it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, and Malcolm, I will be talking to you tomorrow or over the weekend.
Gail, we do not meet in December.
You're
messing with me.
All
right.
Have a good night, everybody.
Go have a great night, everybody. See you in 2022, unless you come to land use or work group. Have a good night.
Awesome.
All right. Good night. Thank you, Chelsea. Bye-bye.